Alright, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about the games that happened yesterday on February 11th, talking about the buyout market, we're going to talk about LeBron James's injury, and James Harden opening up about his Brooklyn Nets tenure. Yeah, let's get right into it. Start with the games from yesterday. Some very good games yesterday. I'm very excited to talk about them. Starting off with the NBA TV game, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets going at each other. The Brooklyn Nets, their first game with their new team, basically, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and them all played in this game. And it was very fun, honestly. The Nets started off very good. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson were really kind of carrying this team to start the first half. Those two, going back to their Suns days, they're very good friends. And so, it was very fun to see them both out there, just dominating really. I mean, they both played very well to start this game, and it was a fun game, really, for the Nets. They went into halftime up 60 to 52. In the third quarter, the Sixers were trying to fight back, and it was Joel Embiid. Embiid had 14 points in the third quarter. He's been dominating this season. He had a great third quarter to bring the Sixers back in it. And then the fourth quarter, the Sixers outscored the Nets 25 to 16. It was James Harden and Joel Embiid, really, those two kind of closing this game out for Philly. And then when you go into the fourth quarter, yeah, Joel Embiid hits a shot, and then he gets to the line, gets fouled with 5 seconds left, hit for two free throws to make it a 1 point lead. Nets come down the other end, and Mikal Bridges gets an easy layup that he misses. And it was just really tough to see because he was having such a great game. Mikal Bridges missed the layup. They fouled James Harden. Harden hits both free throws to make it 101-98 with 4/10 of a second left. But then the inbound, and Spencer Dinwiddie from half court sinks a three-pointer, and everyone is going crazy. I was like, what the heck is going on? Dinwiddie hits a huge three, but then when you review it, and the ball is still in his hand when the clock expires, so the shot does not count, and the Sixers escape Brooklyn with a 101-98 victory. Yeah, Joel Embiid just continuing his dominance this season. 37 points, 13 rebounds, another 30-point game. I like what I see from James Harden in this game as well. James Harden had 29, 6 and 6. He was kind of taking a lot more shots late in the game. He's playing really well. Even though a lot of the others really contributed a lot. Tyrese Maxey at 12, but no one else really contributed a lot. But Harden and Embiid just kind of carried this Sixer team to a win, really. Um, yeah, if you look at the shooting numbers, I mean, Philly shot just 6 for 23 from three. They did shoot better from the field than Brooklyn, but it was really Embiid and Harden. But for Brooklyn, I like watching the Nets team. This Nets team was really fun. It kind of reminds you of the old Brooklyn Nets teams that they had before Kevin Durant and Kyrie, when it was D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie and Jared Allen and those young fun teams. That's what it kind of was, because there's no real all-star or superstar in this team. It's just a bunch of good players going out there and moving the ball around. Everyone kind of getting the turn, and they play tough. They play hard. And you could see it in this game. What this team is probably going to be. Just a fun, hard playing team that can sneak some wins in there. You got guys like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dinwiddie, even Cam Thomas that just are good. They're good, but now they're kind of getting a little bit of a bigger role, and maybe you can see what they really are a lot more. Maybe they can get their value up, hopefully. But yeah, and then Joe Harris as well. Joe Harris is back for some reason. Back-to-back games. First two games for the Nets without KD and Kyrie. He has back-to-back games where he hits 6 3-pointers. Like, I guess he doesn't need superstars around him. When superstars aren't around him, he hits shots, I guess. But yeah, this is a fun Brooklyn Nets team. They almost got a win. It would have been really nice to see this Nets team get a win, but the Sixers with Embiid and Harden really kind of just carried through this game. The next game we had was the Pacers in Washington taking on the Wizards. And boy, did the Wizards come to play. The Wizards came to play. They scored 37 in the first quarter, 43 in the second quarter. The Wizards going to halftime with an 80-57 lead. They shot 30 for 41 from the field, 75% shooting in the first half for the Wizards. It was insane. I mean, they're hitting everything. Bradley Beal, Porzingis, not even just those two, everybody was getting in on the fun, and the Wizards were just lights out in the first half. The Wizards got off. I mean, the Pacers, sorry, got off to a hot start in the third quarter, and it looked like the Wizards might blow another lead. Which, if they did blow this lead, it would have been honestly kind of just like the Wizards, so it wouldn't even been that surprising. But then the Wizards kind of rallied together, and the Wizards win 127 to 113 over Indiana. The Wizards finished the game shooting 64% from the field, 46% from three, 86% from the free throw line. Uh, yeah, the Wizards just really outshot the Pacers. That's what it was. They outshot the Pacers. Bradley Beal had 32 points. He shot 13 for 18. He hit four threes. He had a very good game. It's one of his best games of the year. Porzingis has 17 and 10. But everyone really got in the action. Monte Morris has 17. Denny Avdia has 16. He's been looking phenomenal ever since the Rui Hachimura trade. Denny has just been great. And Daniel Gafford as well had a great game. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 blocks. He made all the shots. Yeah, it was really the Wizards just putting on an avalanche on Indiana. And the Pacers lose again. They've just, I mean, I'm talking about it. They've been really falling. Tyrese Halliburton had a solid game though. 21, 6 and 7, shooting 50% from the field. Miles Turner had 20, Buddy Hield had 16. Benedict Mathurin had 16 off the bench, but the Pacers just couldn't really do anything else. The thing is, they forced turnovers too. Like the Wizards had 16 turnovers, but the Pacers just couldn't really keep up offensively with Washington, and the Wizards get the win for them. Good for them. You know, they're trying to keep in that play-in spot. And Pacers are a team they're actually battling for that play-in spot. The Pacers lose another one. Next we go to the Nuggets in Charlotte taking on the Hornets. And it was actually a good game to start this game, you know. Hornets led by 7 at the end of the first. Gordon Hayward had a great first half. He had 17 points in the first half. He was looking confident and cool. And then the second quarter, Nuggets outscored the Hornets by 4. Jokic had 20 first half points. And it looked like it was going to set up to be a really good game. And then the third quarter happens. And the Nuggets outscore Charlotte 37-23 in the third quarter, led by Jokic, Michael Porter Jr. as well. KCP even got some shots in there. And the Nuggets really just blew this game open in the third quarter, and they win 119 to 105. Look at the Nuggets. They shot 51% from the field. They had 10 more assists than the Hornets, 35 to 25. They out rebounded the Hornets 51 to 37, including 14 offensive rebounds. And then points in the paint. The Nuggets had 78 points in the paint, while the Hornets had just 52. And Nikola Jokic was eating on the Hornets. The Hornets, at the trade deadline, traded away Mason Plumlee, so their young guys got some more minutes. Mark Williams started. Nick Richards got some time. But it didn't matter. It really didn't, because Nikola Jokic was just bodying them, really. It wasn't even funny. Jokic finishes with 30, 16, and 10. He's 20th triple-double of this season. He's doubled second place with Luka Doncic has 10. Jokic is first with 30 triple-doubles. He's been insane. He's looking like he's on track to win another MVP, his third in a row, which would be insane. But yeah, the Nikola Jokic is really good, and he's really helping this Nuggets team. The Nuggets team, even without Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray yesterday, because of injury, but Jokic really was being the MVP. Yeah, KCP had 15. Michael Porter Jr. and Bruce Brown contributed with 14. Christian Brown off the bench was solid as well. But yeah, for Charlotte, Gordon Hayward had 21. He had 17 in the first and kind of cooled down after that. PJ Washington had 22. LaMelo had 18, 9, and 12. Dennis Smith Jr. had 15 off the bench. It was a solid game for him. But the Nuggets just turned it on in the second half and beat the Hornets. The next game we had was the Spurs and the Hawks in Atlanta. DeJounte Murray playing against his former team. You know, and it's actually a good game to start. You know, the Hawks led by 1 at the end of the first. They led by 1 going in a half. And the Spurs, it was Jimmy Sohan who had 18 points in the first half. Keldon Johnson also had 18 points in the first half. Those two were really contributing to the Spurs team. Sohan came back after missing a few games. So did Trey Jones. Their starting point guard came back after missing a few games as well. And the Hawks were kind of, not to say struggling, but they weren't great. You know, DeAndre Hunter had a great first half, but no one else really was doing much. and it was allowing the Spurs to keep in it. Spurs are bad, but the Spurs, with Grikovic, they're gonna play hard and they're gonna play at least solid enough in most games. Which is why I like watching them. But the plan is to lose, so that's what they do. They play good for a little bit of the game, and then they're like, all right, now let's lose. And that was this game. The Spurs played amazing in the first half, kept up with Atlanta, and then the third quarter happened, and the Hawks outscored San Antonio 32-17 in the third quarter. The Spurs shot just 5 for 22 in the quarter, and the Hawks, Trae Young, really lead this Hawks team and just put the Spurs away in the second half, winning 125-106. Trae Young had 24 points and 17 assists, just doing it all, really, doing it all for Atlanta. DeAndre Hunter had a good game with 24 points. DeJounte Murray had 18 and 7. Clint Capella had 14 and 12. John Collins had 17 points. And yeah, the Hawks just outplayed the Spurs in the third quarter. That's what it was. The Spurs went cold in the third quarter, and the Hawks took the opportunity and didn't look back, shooting just under 50% from the field. For San Antonio, Keldon Johnson had 25 points. I really like how he's been playing this year. He's kind of turned into the Spurs star player because the Spurs don't really have one. So Keldon Johnson is kind of that. But he's been very good. He's had some very, very nice moments, He gets to the rim and finishes very easy. He's got they call him big body for a reason. He's strong. And then his three-point shot as well, even though he didn't hit a three yesterday, but his three-point shot has really come around, especially in the corner. And I just like seeing what he's been doing. But yeah, Jeremy Sohan at 18 in the first quarter, didn't score for the rest of the game. Malachi Branham had 10. Yeah, the Spurs are now on a 12-game losing streak. They're 14-43, the second worst record in the NBA, a half game behind the Houston Rockets. Yeah, the Spurs lost 12 in a row now. Their second longest losing streak in team history. The longest was 13 back in 1989. They lost 13 in a row, and they're one loss away from tying that record. So, good for them. They're executing the plan. The Spurs are executing the plan. They want Victor, and they're doing a very good job at trying to get him. The next game we had was the Heat and the Magic, the Battle of Florida. The Magic got off to a good start in this game. They led 29-19 at the end of the first quarter. But of course, the Heat keep fighting back, and it was just a very good game to watch. I really love watching the Orlando Magic. The Magic are my favorite bad team to watch. I'm not saying, well, they're kind of bad compared to all the other teams, but they're my favorite non-playoff playing team to watch. They just have so many young players that I like. I like Paolo, Franz, Wendell, Markel, Bobo, Cole Anthony. They have so much young talent on their team that anyone can really go off on any given night. And I love Jamal Mosley and how he's playing these guys and how he's coaching these guys and how he's kind of found roles for each of these guys. Like they have a surplus of guards, but Mosley finds a way to kind of keep all the guards playing and keep all the guards intact while playing their style of game. He's not forcing anybody to do anything that they don't know how to do. And I think Jamal Mosley is a really, really good coach for this team. And I love his fit for this team. And I love watching the Magic because they play like a really good team. They move the ball around. They have really good young players. And they can win on every given night. They beat the Celtics 3 times this season. So, they can win on any given night. But yeah, I think the Magic definitely should have won this game. By the way it was going, I thought this was going to be an Orlando Magic win. But then again, you look at the score, you look at all the things going on, and I should have known that the Heat were going to grind this game out. Because that's what they do, and that's what they did. Go to the fourth quarter, and after Bobo gets a dunk with 6:41 left, and the Heat call timeout, the Magic are up 91-81. From that point on, the Heat go on a 16-6 run to end the fourth quarter, including Gabe Vincent hitting 2 free throws. Then the other end, Paolo missing just a great look on a layup. He just missed it. And then Jimmy Butler missed a 3 at the end of regulation, and we go into overtime, 97-97. And then in overtime, Gabe Vincent and Tyler Hero really put this game away. The Heat grind this game out and take a win from Orlando, 107-103. Again, I think the Magic should have won this game, but the Heat doing the Heat things. grinding this game out, getting the little steals, blocks, hitting shots when they need to get wins. Tyler Hero had 23 points, another good game for him. Jimmy Butler once again clutch in the fourth quarter, 22, 7, and 6 in this game. Gabe Vincent had 20. Bam had 13, 17, and 6. For Miami, this is what they do. They grind out games. They know they don't have a really high power offense where they're going to put up 130, 140 points. So, you know what? We're going to score 104, but we're going to play good enough defense, or you score 100. And that's how we're going to win games. We're going to hit shots when we absolutely need to hit shots, and we're going to get stops when we absolutely need to get stops. This is why I feel like I've said this before to myself, but the Miami Heat are a playoff team and not a regular season team, I feel like. Like in the regular season, teams that don't have high power offense and really good defenses, they kind of feel like don't do as well because all the other teams are just going through the regular season, not saying not caring about defense, but they're not really fully 100% locked in. Like we absolutely need to win, So they kind of just go through it a little bit, and they get hot, hit shots, and then defense comes to them when it needs to. But the Miami Heat aren't like that. Miami Heat feel like always have this mentality of just we're gonna grind this game out, we're gonna play amazing defense, and we're gonna stop you guys. And then when we need to score, we're gonna score. And that's why they do so well in the playoffs. Even though in the regular season they're like kind of cool, and everyone's like, why is this team even like that good? They don't have. You look at their roster, they don't have anything crazy on their roster where they should be a top seed. But that's who the Heat are. The Heat are a playoff team more than a regular season team. In the playoffs, that's why I think this year in the playoffs, whoever they play, they're probably going to play a team like Philly or Cleveland in the first round. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Miami gets it upset in the first round. Like that's just the team Miami is. Miami's a hard-working team with a lot of dogs on their roster, and they're gonna come out to play in the playoffs. We know that, and we know about playoff Jimmy as well. And I'm really excited to see them in the playoffs, even with this new Bam. Bam has a lot more confidence. He's an all-star again, and I think maybe that can really help Miami in this playoffs. But yeah, I won't be surprised, honestly, if Miami Heat knock out a big dog in the first round randomly, just because it's the Miami Heat and that's the way they play. The next game we have is the Jazz in the Garden taking on the Knicks, and this is a very fun game as well. Jalen Brunson coming off scoring 20 in the first quarter against Philly the other day. He comes out and scores 22 first half points in this game against Utah. He's been just great. But yeah, the first half was really the Knicks. The Knicks were playing really well in the first half. Jalen Brunson, of course. Randall had a good first half. I think he had 14. Emmanuel quickly had 13 off the bench in the first half. And it was just going well for the Knicks. They're doing what they were doing. But then the third quarter, Larry Markkinen and Taylor Horton-Tucker and Jordan Clarkson come out and they strike. And the Jazz outscored the Knicks by 3 in the third quarter to make this a very tight game. And it was going to come down to the wire. The Jazz fight. The Jazz fight. And then we go to the fourth quarter, and the Knicks just hit shots, honestly. The Knicks were hitting so many clutch shots. Josh Hart hit some very clutch threes, but the Jazz would come back. Like, the Knicks would hit, like, Josh Hart would hit a three, Larry Markkinen comes back and gets a lay-in. Jalen Brunson hits a shot. Jordan Clarkson comes back and hits one. It's just a back and forth game. In the fourth quarter, after Jordan Clarkson hits a shot to tie the game at 109, the Knicks hit 3 straight three-pointers from Jalen, from RJ, from Randall to put the Knicks up by 9. And then they close out the game 126 to 120. The Knicks caught fire at the end of that fourth quarter. Julius Randle, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson are making great plays. Josh Hart had an amazing Knicks debut, and it just looked like he fit there. He has so many connections with this Knicks team. Him and Jalen Brunson played at Villanova together, won a championship together. They played really well together, and you saw that video of Jalen Brunson after Josh Hart got traded to New York. Jalen Brunson was actually at Villanova, and then he saw the phone, and he just had a great reaction. Those two are boys. He played with Julius Randle back when they were young with the Lakers together. So he's got that, and it's just he just feels right as a Knick. Like, you see him in a Knicks jersey, and you're like, you know what, that makes sense. And you could tell he just loved being there. Even before the game, he posted a picture of his jersey in the locker room saying, "I'm a Knick." It's crazy. And then even like in the fourth quarter, he had a big three. He went to the crowd, he was smiling. And then when the Knicks were at the free throw line, he was just looking around. After the Knicks kind of no, he knew the Knicks were sealing out the game. He just looked around. And he was like, "Wow, like I'm here. Let's go." And it was just great. And he fits in perfectly with this Knicks team. And I love it. I love seeing Josh Hart be on this team. Josh Hart is a fantastic player. He gives it all. Every time he's on the court, he gives it all. And you saw it last night. Knicks fans are gonna love him. But yeah, the Knicks win 126 to 120. Very high scoring game. The Knicks, yeah, outshot the Jazz from three. They shot 12 for 36. The Jazz were 9 for 32. The Knicks forced 10 turnovers. They rebounded Utah 52 to 38. And yeah, they played really good defense to end this game off as well. Not letting Markkanen or Clarkson get out good shots. Jalen Brunson had 38 points, shooting 50% from the field. He's been great. It's actually funny. Put out a stat. They put out, I saw the stats saying that since the All-Star rosters were announced and Brunson didn't make it, he's been averaging just under 31 points per game with 6 assists. Yeah, he knows he should have been an All-Star. He might make it, the Jaylen Brown might not be in it, so Jalen Brunson might take a spot, but he is just fantastic. Love what I've seen from him in New York. Of course, he left Dallas when he was in a good situation, and everyone was kind of wondering why he left. And understandable. He wanted a bigger role. He wanted to see what he was like in a bigger role, and that he can prove that he's actually really good. It could be a starter level guard in this league. And everyone said the Knicks overpaid for him and all this stuff. But you look at it now, and it's like, you know what? Like, they're right. He's become the Knicks point guard. The Knicks haven't had a point guard like this in a very long time, so it's great to see Jalen Brunson put on a Knicks jersey and just turn into an all-star. And Knicks fans love him. I know they do. They love him. Yeah, Brunson had 38. Julius Randle had 31 and 6 in this game. He was hitting a lot of big shots. RJ had 20 before fouling out. And then, yeah, Mayor quickly had 15. Isaiah Hardenstein had 14 rebounds. A good all-around game from New York. For the Jazz, Larry Markkanen had 29 points. And it was funny saying, because after the game, post-game interview, Coach Will Hardy came out and he was talking about Larry Markkanen, and he said he wants Larry to be more of a leader in the locker room. Now that Mike Conley, who was their vet, is kind of gone, Larry Markkanen, he wants them to step in to that role. And yeah, that would be nice to see Larry turn into that. He's coming to Utah and turn into their best player as an all-star now. Maybe we could see him take that leap into I'm kind of the guy on and off the court for Utah. It'd be great to see. He had 29. Taylor Tucker had another good game, 23 points and 7 assists. He's going to get a lot more opportunity now that Malik Beasley is gone. So we'll see what THT can do. And then Jordan Clarkson had 24 points. The next game, we had the Bulls in Cleveland taking on the Cavaliers. And the Cavs got off to a very slow start. A very slow start. They came off a good win against New Orleans the other day, or the day before. And so now it's a back-to-back back at home. And the Bulls pulled on to start. The Bulls went to halftime up by 13. Zach LaVine, Vucevic, they were doing their thing. And then in the fourth quarter, with about 6.5 minutes left, the Bulls go up 61 to 48. And from that point on, the Cavaliers turned it on. Jared Allen was really keeping them in this game because Donovan Mitchell got off to a slow start. Garland wasn't really doing much for most of the game. Mobley was kind of here and there. The bench was horrible. Jared Allen was kind of trying to keep them in this game. But the Cavs, after going down 61 to 48 with about 6.5 minutes left in the third quarter, the Cavs then outscore Chicago 43 to 17 to take a 13-point lead. Brought the lead all the way back, and they eventually win this game 97-89. Donovan Mitchell was huge in that run. He scored 19 of his 29 points in the second half. He also had 10 rebounds and 6 assists. Jared Allen had a great game, 23-10. Darius Garland had 19 and 7 assists. He really turned up in the fourth quarter. And the Cavs had just 5 bench points, and they still won this game, beating Chicago. And yeah, Chicago, man. it's rough out there for Chicago. I mean, they scored 89 points as a team. They're bad. The Bulls are bad. That's what it is. It's like they just don't have a good team. They don't have shooting around their players. Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic are good, but everything else is kind of like a mystery, a wild card. Team isn't well put together. Um, and I'm very disappointed they didn't make moves at the deadline. And I think they have to go in this offseason thinking about breaking this team up and rebuilding this team. Because it's just, there's not really a light at the end of the tunnel. You can say all you want about Lonzo Ball coming back and all this stuff, but is he going to change? Is he going to turn this team from a 10 seed to a 6 seed or 7 seed? No. So, I don't know. The Knicks just have to, I'm sorry, the Knicks. The Bulls just have to kind of blow this thing up and let's start over again. Because they look bad. It really looks bad. They had more turnovers than 3-point attempts. They had 22 turnovers. They shot 21 threes and only hit 5 of those 21 threes. Bad for Chicago. It looks very dim over there. But Cleveland, they fought hard. I love seeing the fight from Cleveland after getting off to a very slow start and looking very tired after the back-to-back. They rallied together and they get the win. Their 6th win in a row. Now they're building a little bit of a lead over Brooklyn for that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. The next game was an ABC game, primetime Saturday. Lakers, Warriors. Of course, the stars weren't playing this game. Steph Curry, of course, not playing, and then LeBron James not playing as well. But the Lakers had their new guys playing. D'Angelo Russell started. Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt both played in this game. Mo Bamba did not play yet. He's still suspended after his fight with Austin Rivers last week. But I think he's only got. I think this is his last game he's suspended, or he has one more game, and then he can play. But very impressed by the Lakers in this game. They kept it very, very close, even without AD shooting very well. Dennis Schroeder was playing really well. Rui Hachimura was doing good. Austin Reeves bringing energy. And just love seeing it. The Warriors, they could tell that Steph Curry is missed. He just brings so much gravity to him. It makes this Warriors team and everyone else around him so much better that it kind of sucks to not see him out there. And the Warriors kind of have to play a little bit of a different style without Steph. But it was very close throughout this entire game. The Warriors won at halftime, up by just 2 points. And then the third quarter happens, and the Lakers outscored the Warriors 34-26 in the third quarter. A big part of that was Dennis Schroeder and Rui Hachimura. D'Angelo Russell getting in threes here and there. And then we go to the fourth quarter, and Jordan Poole goes off in the fourth quarter. He scores 17 fourth quarter points, and it looks like the Warriors are going to take this game away from LA. But the Lakers say, nope, hold on. And Anthony Davis hits 6 points in a row to make it, to tie the game up for the Lakers. And then D'Angelo Russell, his back-to-back big shots, to give him a lead. And then Rui Hachimura and Dennis Schroeder kind of sealed off with a Hachimura 3 and a Dennis Schroeder layup. And the Lakers get a primetime win over Golden State, 109-103. Just a great win from the Lakers. The Warriors didn't shoot well from the field. The Lakers' defense is very good. Warriors shot 42% from the field, 27% from 3. The Lakers won a rebounding battle. And it was really just everyone kind of contributing to this game. Dennis Schroeder had a great game, 26 points. And they needed all 26. That was big. Rui Hachimura had 16 and 7. D'Angelo Russell in his Laker re-debut, 15, 5, and 6. And Anthony Davis out there. I love seeing Anthony Davis out there doing everything else. He shot just 5 for 19 and had 13. But he had 16 rebounds and 3 blocks. It was doing all the little things like rebounding, blocking shots, and doing all that to help this Laker team win. Jared Vanderbilt played very well too. 12, 8, and 4 off the bench in his Laker debut. I know Laker fans are going to love him. Vanderbilt he just plays hard, Laker fans are going to really love him. Malik Beasley shot rough. He missed all of his 3-pointers. But, eventually, he's going to start hitting them. But yeah, for Golden State, Jordan Poole had 29, including those 17 fourth quarter points. But then, Draymond Green had 10 assists. Klay Thompson had a horrible shooting night. Shot just 5 for 21, 3 for 13 from 3. Wiggins was kind of out there. They got help from Jermichael Green and Ty Jerome. But after that, like DiVincenzo was 2 for 8. Jonathan Kuminga had 5 points. It just nothing was really going on outside of Poole and Draymond for Golden State. And I'm a little bit worried for Golden State. Now, they fall into the ninth seed. They lost 2 in a row after being sixth, seventh at one point. It's very tough to see Steph go out at the time like this, especially in this scenario where the Warriors were horrible to start the year. Steph goes out and they kind of climb back up. Steph comes back and they're kind of climbing back up. And then Steph goes down again. With this tight West where one win can jump you 3 seeds, but a loss can drop you 2 seeds. Um, it's just really tough to see Steph go out like that. And I'm really hoping he comes back soon because I want to see this Warriors team, in the playoffs. The Warriors are the Warriors. They're always going to be a tough fight. And it's just horrible timing for Steph to go out the way he did. But I think the Warriors can still be very solid, though, in this stretch. But yeah, for the Lakers, very impressed from this Laker team. They showed a lot of potential of what this team could be. Being able to get a win over a team like Golden State without LeBron is huge. And we're going to talk a little bit more about LeBron a little later. But just great win for the Lakers. And Lakers fans are very excited to see this team in full strength. I am too. I'm not a Laker fan. But I'm excited to see this team too at its full strength with LeBron, Mo Bamba, all of them in there. And we're going to see what comes of it. We're going to see what comes out of it. And now the final game of the night was the Mavericks in Sacramento taking on the Kings. Luka Doncic played in this game. It's the first game of the Mavericks with Luka and Kyrie together. And I like what I saw from it. It turns out it was kind of the opposite of what I thought. I thought Luka was kind of going to chill and Kyrie was going to be the guy to get the buckets. But really, it was Luka. Luka came back and immediately you saw was just putting it on in Sacramento. And Kyrie was kind of the one more moving the ball around. Again, guys like Josh Green and Reggie Bullock and Tim Hardaway in the game early. And I really like to see that. I really think that could be solid for Dallas. I think it should be, honestly, the other way around, where Luka can be more the guy creating for everybody else because he is Luka Doncic and he's 6'7" and he can make any pass he wants to. But, I mean, either way, it looked very good. I like what I saw from it. And it came down to the wire. This game really came down to the wire. Going into overtime. And then the fourth quarter in overtime, De'Aaron Fox took over this game. He leads the NBA in clutch points this season. He's a top candidate for Clutch Player of the Year, the new award they're adding. And you could see it in this game. He was not letting Sacramento lose this game. He scored 26 of his 36 points in the fourth and overtime combined. And he was just doing it all. And the Kings win 133-128 in OT, spoiling Luka and Kyrie's debut together. But yeah, De'Aaron Fox, 36 points. He, like I said, deserves to be an all-star. And he showed it last night. He was really carrying this team to the win. Domantas Sabonis had 22 and 14 before fouling out. He's a double-double machine. Terrence Davis had a great game off the bench. Malik Monk didn't play in this game due to injury. Terrence Davis really showed up and took over his spot. He had 22 points. Kevin Huerter had 15 points. But yeah, the Kings, the points in the paint really what separated this game. The Kings scored 74 points in the paint to the Mavericks 46. The Mavericks kind of live off of three-pointers, so it kind of makes sense. But the Kings were getting to the paint easy and just doing whatever they wanted, especially De'Aaron Fox in that little mid-range free throw line game where he loves to go to. He's hitting all of his shots from there. But for the Mavericks, there's potential. There's a lot of potential in this. I like what I saw from Kyrie and Luka together. And I think, with time, it's going to get even better and better. And Josh Green is great. I love Josh Green. The steps he's taken this year. Before this year, he's kind of just wasn't really consistently in the rotation. He was just a hard-working hustler, rebounds and dunks and all that. But now he's turned into an actual, role player. And good starter on this team, hitting corner threes, playing good defense, getting those rebounds, just doing all the little things and his 3-point shot has really developed into being actually solid, which is great. He had 23 points, hit 5 threes, just looks great out there. And I love to see the progression of Josh Green and how he's going to really help this Maverick team, kind of taking that Dorian Finney-Smith role for himself. Next, we're going to get into the buyout market. The trade deadline is over, and now the players, veterans that got traded at the trade deadline, that are going to rebuilding teams getting bought out. And there's a lot of news recently. The first one being from Shams saying Reggie Jackson plans to sign with the Denver Nuggets. Reggie Jackson got traded from the Clippers to the Hornets for Mason Plumlee, and the Hornets bought him out. And there's a lot of teams, including the Suns, were a big name and going after him, and now he's going to Denver, which I really like. Denver traded away Bones Highland. They wanted more defense, but now they kind of get this offensive supply at guard back. Reggie Jackson was having a very tough season, though, for the Clippers this year, so hope maybe he goes to Denver and kind of refines what he was last season, where he was kind of like the Clippers' best player at some points. But I like this for Denver. I like this for Reggie Jackson, and I hope he can go there and provide a spark offensively for this Nuggets team. Just another weapon to be added. The next one, Woj reported this saying Terrence Ross plans to sign with the Phoenix Suns. It was reported yesterday that the Magic and him were finalizing a contract buyout, and that Dallas was actually the front runner. But then they said after talks with Matt Ishiba, the Suns owner, and Monty Williams, Terrence Ross is going over to Phoenix. Phoenix just adding another weapon off that bench after getting KD, TJ Warren. Now they get another shooter in Terrence Ross. They already had some shooters. Damian Lee was playing pretty solid this year. Landry Shamet can hit shots. But now they get another microwave off the bench in Terrence Ross, who can really help this team. Like I've been saying, Terrence Ross can help a good playoff team, man. He's a microwave. He could come off the bench and have a 5-6-3 game in the playoffs when you really need it. And I really like this addition for the Suns. You knew the Suns were going out in the buyout market after making this big KD trade. They were going to go, they're going all in. And so whatever help they can get, they can get. And so Terrence Ross is now a new member of the Phoenix Suns. The next one is Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is saying the Clippers, Heat, and Bulls all have interest in Westbrook if he gets bought out. Because there's been some reports recently that maybe the Jazz aren't going to fully just buy Westbrook out now. And maybe let him play in Utah, get some value up and stuff. So, I honestly, I kind of wouldn't be too surprised if Russell Westbrook stays in Utah and doesn't get bought out. I mean, it's a solid place to kind of for him to raise his value. He can just go to a team with not really many expectations, go out there and just be himself. So, I mean, but then again, I would like to see him on a playoff team just because Russell Westbrook, I think, is really disrespected, especially recently after all the comments being made about his character and stuff, which I don't think are true. I think Russell Westbrook is a great person, and you see it all over. Like, no one really hates, like, there hasn't been a player or a team that's come out and say, we don't like Russell Westbrook, or Russell Westbrook was the reason why this and this was happening. Even Rob Pelinka, Lakers GM, came out and said, we don't want to, like, don't blame Russell Westbrook for all the mistakes we've done. He's done nothing to us. And it's just sad that the media really wants to portray Russell Westbrook like this person, even though, people love Russell Westbrook. So it really sucks to see that. But, I mean, I wouldn't mind whatever Russell Westbrook does. If he stays in Utah, that'd be cool. Seeing him play with all these guys and just trying to go out there and have fun. But if he does go to a playoff team like the Clippers or the Heat, I feel like it'd be really fun as well. I think he can really contribute. For some reason, I can still just picture him in a Miami jersey. I don't know why. I could just picture him in a Miami jersey. I don't know how the fit would be with him, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo on the same court. That would be very interesting to see. But I think Russell Westbrook should go to a playoff team and should kind of try to raise his value over there. Maybe he goes to the Clippers. Paul George has really been campaigning to go get Russ. Maybe he can go to the Clippers and provide a spark off the bench, like Reggie Jackson or maybe John Wall were supposed to do this season. And I can see him on the Clippers. I can really see him on the Clippers. The Bulls is very weird. I don't know why the Bulls would want Russell Westbrook. That's just very, very, very weird to me. But whatever, I guess. Each their own. We're also getting some buyout news live. Really, like during the podcast, I was talking about games. I was seeing this, and I was like, oh, I can talk about this now. Sean's the first one reporting saying that Danny Green has agreed to a contract buyout with the Houston Rockets, and he is expected to decide his next team in the next few days or very soon. Kind of expected. Danny Green only played about maybe 2 or 3 games with Memphis after coming back from an ACL injury he suffered last year in the playoffs with the Sixers, and then he was traded to the Houston Rockets in a three-team trade that brought Eric Gordon to the Clippers. And now he's getting bought out from Houston, and now he's going to be back on a playoff team. Danny Green always finds his way back on a playoff team and in the rotation even as well. I don't know if he will be in the rotation for the next team he goes to because of that ACL injury he's coming off of. But I don't know. I mean, teams love Danny Green. Um, icy hot Danny Green. That's still crazy. That's his nickname. But yeah, fans are very indifferent on Danny Green. I feel like I've seen people are like, yeah, Danny Green, another 3-and-D guy, cool, and then other people saying I do not want Danny Green on my roster. So we'll see what happens. World's also reporting that the Cleveland Cavaliers and Boston Celtics have emerged as frontrunners to sign him. The Lakers and Suns, of course, are involved as well. The Celtics, yeah, that'll be interesting. Seems the Celtics don't have that many 3-and-D wing players. I feel like on their roster, especially on their bench. So I think that'll be interesting. And Cleveland, of course, needs some 3-point shooting out there as well. I don't know if Danny Green's the guy for that, but man, maybe he's just another veteran to add to this young roster. Um, so yeah, see where Danny Green is gonna go. Also, the Spurs are releasing Stanley Johnson from Shams. Um, yeah, Stanley Johnson's gonna be back on the market. Stanley Johnson flies around everywhere. Like Stanley Johnson is I feel like always getting released and signed to another 10 days somewhere. Like teams like always just find their way getting Stanley Johnson on their roster. Stanley Johnson's been around. Been in Detroit, Toronto, the Lakers, San Antonio. I'm sure he's been on a few other teams. I think didn't he play for the Bulls at one point? I could picture him in a Bulls jersey. Um, but yeah, I guess I mean it doesn't really matter honestly. The Spurs are the Spurs, so whatever. But yeah, Stanley Johnson, man, former top 10 pick. He was supposed to be a star, but just didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. Next, we're going to talk about LeBron James. Of course, he has not played the last 2 games due to a foot injury. But there's some more reports coming out that saying this foot injury isn't just some regular old sore foot or maybe anything. This could be something that can linger on for the rest of the year. Chris Haynes, very talented reporter from TNT, explained it. He said, quote, I was told that Tuesday game, the record-breaking game, I was told LeBron was severely struggling with that foot injury he has. It's something that's been nagging him for a few weeks already. It gets to points where it just gets unbearable, and he plays through it. And people that talked to me said he was really struggling with that foot. The way it was explained to me is that sometimes it flares up different sides of his foot depending on, I guess, the cut, the way that he plants certain times. The way it's explained to me is that might be something that lingers all season long, but it's reached the dire point. This is really trouble for the Lakers. If this is true that LeBron does have a serious foot injury and that's lingering on, that's going to cause him to miss games, the Lakers can't really afford that right now. They're 13th in the West. They just got this brand new roster that has a lot of hopes from a lot of people, but if injuries happen, then, this all kind of goes into nothing. The Lakers can't really afford to have LeBron missing another few games, and they can't afford any more injuries. They're already in a bad spot as it is, 13th. They gotta kind of climb their way into the play-in. Of course, they're kind of lucky as well because this West is so close that they can win 2 games in a row and go from 13th to 10th, just like that. But having key guys like LeBron miss games like this is not ideal, and it's really gonna like the Lakers are gonna struggle with this if this is happening. LeBron can't play all games, and LeBron's gonna have to sit out on back-to-backs and stuff like that. It's gonna really mess this team up in terms of chemistry, in terms of trying to build some consistency and trying to put together wins consistently. It's gonna really mess that up. So I hope LeBron can maybe just find a way to play through it, or just the Lakers just gotta try to string some wins together without LeBron. That's what it is. Lakers gonna have to string some wins together. D'Lo, AD, Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker, Hachimura, Schroeder, Beasley. They all gotta step up. And if this is the case, then they gotta go out and they gotta try to put some wins together for LeBron because man, it really sucks. The Lakers have been on a roller coaster the last few years. This is just Another ride that they got to go through. And for our last topic of the show today, we're going to be talking about some of the comments made by James Harden recently about his Brooklyn Nets tenure. Of course, last night he played back in Brooklyn for the first time since he requested his trade last season and got to Philadelphia. I don't know why I said Philadelphia, but yeah, he's talking to some reporters and he said, quote, frustrating. It's a lot of what ifs. I think when you play less than 20 games together, so it's a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Hopefully everybody's in a good place now and we can move on. He said that about his time with the Nets and how it feels, with KD, Kyrie, and him now, not being able to kind of finish it out, and him kind of requesting the trade early and seeing that things weren't really going well. And it's funny because at the time of the trade request, we kind of thought James Harden was crazy, you know? Like, we kind of thought, wow, he wants to leave KD and Kyrie because things aren't going his way. He's being selfish. He he's not thinking of the team. He just wants it all to be him. He wants to leave, go to Philly. But now we look back on it and it's like, you know what, James? You're right. This wasn't gonna work out. You're right. You're right, man. And he even talked about it. He said later, he said, "Quote, I don't look like the crazy one. I don't look like the guy or the quitter or whatever the media wants to call me. I knew what was going on, and I just decided to. Hey, I'm not built for this. I don't want to deal with that. I want to play basketball and have fun." Yeah. Again, we talked about it. A lot of things going on throughout this tenure of the KD Kyrie era in Brooklyn, including James Harden and how things were going down, especially when he was there. How Kyrie missed a lot of time, and then he got hurt in the playoffs, and it was really KD by himself, and it was just a lot going on in Brooklyn. And now you look back on it, and everyone kind of agrees with James Harden now. Everyone kind of agrees with James Harden, and I'm honestly really glad he got out of Brooklyn and he found a place in Philly where I think he really fits. I love the combo of him and Joel Embiid. I think there's a lot of potential there. And also love how he's kind of changed his attitude. He came into this off season before the season started. He was up for a big contract extension, and instead of taking that money, he told Daryl Morey, like, "Hey, just go out and get guys like PJ Tucker, Daniel House, get the guys that we need, and then once you're done with that, I'll take the rest. You don't need to pay me 180 million or whatever. Just go out, do what you gotta do, get the players that will help us win, and then when you're done, give me the rest of it. I'd even take a little contract. I don't even need a 4-year deal. I'll take a smaller contract just to help the team." He also got into shape. A lot of talk about that, and you could tell he's just really invested with this team. He even came out a little while ago during the season and said, like, I feel like this is my best chance right now to win a championship. And it's just the turn of James Harden and how he went from Houston James Harden, where he was the guy and he was averaging 37, 38, and literally, when we say everything revolved around him, literally everything revolved around James Harden. And then going to Brooklyn, now in Philly, where everything's not involved around him. He's got a guy like Joel that he can kind of chill out with and let Joel do his thing. But when he needs to do what he has to do, he'll do it. And the Sixers have a good chance, definitely. They've still got teams like Boston, Milwaukee out there in the Eastern Conference. But the Sixers play very well, especially when they're all in sync, like Harden, Embiid, Maxey, Tobias, all in sync. They're a tough team, you know. And he kind of was the first one to kind of break the mold of all the dysfunction in Brooklyn, and kind of was the first one to kind of, I'm not saying air it out, but kind of have everyone look at Brooklyn and be like, wait a minute, like, what's going on over there? And now we see it now, a year after KD and Kyrie are no longer there, and it's like, you know what, James Harden was right, and we were all blaming him, we're all calling him all these names and selfish and all this stuff, but when you look back at it, you're like, you know what, James was right to leave early, because if he didn't leave, things maybe could have gotten worse over there. But yeah, happy that James Harden's in Philly now, doing what he's doing. He just looks a lot better. In Brooklyn, he just kind of looked awkward. It looked weird. He looked like he was still trying to find himself. Didn't know whether to score or to pass, or You never knew who was playing at the time. But yeah, now he's in Philly. He's got a definite role. He's got a good team around him, and hopefully they can do something in the playoffs. It'll be nice to see. But if it doesn't work, then a lot of conversation is gonna be in about Philly, and maybe not. Maybe Joel Embiid might not be there longer, and James Harden might not be there longer if another first round exit happens or something like that. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow.